Hey, my love. Okay, welcome to this week's Astrology and Archetype. Okay, so we're going to break down kind of the collective energy in the atmosphere for the week of 28th to June 3rd. So May 28th to June 3rd. Now, keep in mind that energy is fluid because you can be going through the same situation, not necessarily this week. It could be next week. It could be a month from now. So if the message resonates and it vibrates, you want to go ahead and take what you need and leave what you don't. Because although we're operating in the collective energy, everyone has an energy pattern or energy signature in their own personal natal and birth chart, right? So you want to be mindful of that. Now, also my disclaimer, you are your own guru and energy is fluid. So take what you need, leave what you don't, shelf what you don't understand in case you need to circle on back and get some motivation, inspiration, or confirmation. And information is going to be granted to you based on your inner knowing or your belief system. So you do want to also be mindful of that. All right. So the sun is currently positioned in Gemini. This is air energy. So it is all about your thoughts this next 3 weeks. Okay, now you do want to keep in mind collectively the energy that's permeating throughout the atmosphere is going to be thoughts, your mental capacity. Okay, Gemini is a mutable energy, which means it can change directions at any time, and it is also a positive polarity, which means it's masculine in nature. Okay, now, with that being said, there's a lot of logical decision making, your thought process, communication, being open and willing to learn. That's collectively what we're all going through. Now, the flip side of that is not being open to learn, not communicating, or I want to even call it like a bully narcissistic way of communication, which means you want to get across what you are thinking and what your thoughts are, but you don't necessarily want to entertain anyone else's thought, right? Because Gemini is known to be the social butterfly. Gemini's energy is also known to be able to dive in the light aspect of oneself and in the dark aspect of oneself. But you know, the dark aspect or shadow work for some people is not something that they embrace. Okay, so we all have light and dark aspects of ourselves, and sometimes those dark aspects or those shadow aspects are not things people want to really dive into. Okay, so just be mindful of that as we're operating for the next 3.5 weeks in Gemini. Okay, now last week I talked about Jupiter transiting over into Taurus for the next year. What I did not distinguish was that was a Vedic astrology. Okay, so in Western astrology, however, Jupiter is entering into Gemini, which kind of works well. And maybe that's why I was thinking of it, because it works really well for me personally, right? So the things that I need to do within this year is definitely within my second house in Taurus, as well as my third house in Gemini. So they're going to be working together for me this year, with Jupiter being in both ends of the spectrum on the different end of astrology. Okay, so utilize the energy where you can. Jupiter is all about expansion, and if you're going to be operating from the Vedic astrology portion of it, Jupiter is well, let me just say, Taurus is going to be in Jupiter for the next year. And if you're operating from the Western astrology or the tropical astrology, you're going to find that Gemini is going to be in Jupiter for the next year. So work that energy and allow that energy to work for you the way that you see fit, okay? Remember, these are archetypes. These are archetypes of ruling energy that you can benefit from, okay? And for some people, depending on where you are personally, you can find that this energy can not just benefit you, but can help you to expand in either direction, right? So you're either going to expand in the negative polarity or aspect where it's going to be frustrated, you're going to feel stuck, you're going to feel drained, or you're going to operate in the positive aspect of the energy where you can expand your business, your money, you know, your social life, whatever it is that you on a personal level want to entertain. Okay, now with that being said, the moon is going to be in Aquarius from the 27th, which is today while I'm recording this, until the 30th, okay? So it's entering Aquarius tonight at about 8:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So you do want to take note of that, right? When we're operating from the moon aspect of Aquarius, just know that Aquarian energy is going to be communicated to Gemini's energy for the next 2.5 days, all right? You want to pay attention to anything from the past that's coming up, all right? You want to pay attention to anything that you may feel that you're lacking, all right? You do want to be mindful of karmic balances as well as karmic justice coming in. And I can't say enough, like, we're just in a time where you want to pay attention to karmic drive-bys, right? So don't allow other people's, I want to say, karmic decisions or real-time decisions affect you to the point where you're the one suffering because someone else chose not to do what needed to be done, okay? And this is especially for my empaths where you think and where you know it's your nature to help people. This is going to be energy where you definitely want people to be able to learn the lessons that they need to learn for themselves, all right? Now, with the Aquarian energy being in the moon, you also want to pay attention to people's facades and maybe even people pushing their belief system on you for the next 2.5 days. This is a season of rebirth. And for some people, this can feel like the winter time, right? Where things are just cold and stagnant. There's not a lot of warmth here. And I really feel like that warmth has to do with a lot of intuitive energy as well as a lot of emotional energy. Aquarian energy does not really do well with deep emotional conversations or situations, okay? They can tend to pull back. So be mindful of that because Gemini's energy does not do well with those deep dive into emotions also. So between tonight, 8:45 p.m. until Thursday, the 30th at about 12:33 a.m., you're going to find that it may not be the time to have those deep, in-depth conversations that you may want to have with others because the atmosphere is not conducive to have those conversations. So this is why you want to kind of allow people to, if you've given advice to someone and they have not taken your advice within the next 2.5 days, but they're coming to you for more advice, but they have not taken advice from step one. You just want to kind of pull back and have that to unfold and play out in their experience as it needs to, all right? So you don't know it all. All right, you just need to pay attention to your intuition as the moon is transiting through Aquarius from the 27th until early on the 30th. Remember, the energy that you need to go with is you don't know it all. Trust your intuition, and you don't have to have those deep dive communication, especially emotional based communication between tonight, once we enter Aquarian energy until early Thursday morning when we transit over into Pisces energy. Now, this is what I am going to say. Once you get over into Pisces energy, okay, this is where I am encouraging you to really trust your intuition for the next 2.5 days. And don't think you know everything for the next 2.5 days. Be open for the information to come into you, especially because Gemini is in the sun, right? So Gemini is going to bring in that aspect of communication and things will be communicated to you, right? So be open for that communication to come in, and then you want to begin to dive into the information once the moon transits out of Aquarius into Pisces, right? Pisces energy is definitely different from Aquarian energy. This is water energy, so it's definitely more emotional, all right? You can find that once the moon moves into Pisces, now you're going to have to operate from rising above things, right? Because people are going to be mirroring things back to you, right? Remember, we were dealing with some karmic lessons for the past 2.5 days in Aquarius. By the time we get over to Pisces, you can find that people are doing a lot of projecting and doing a lot of mirroring, okay? And I even want to say there could be an undertone of jealousy and envy that's coming in while the moon is in Pisces from the 30th, okay, at about 12:33 a.m. when the moon transits over into Pisces until Saturday at about 3:28 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. You're going to find that people are projecting. They may not have dealt with the situation or have been open to communicate or open to not thinking they know everything, right? Once the moon was in Aquarius, so you're communicating like you know everything. You're not, and a person that thinks they know everything, there's no room for you to receive any knowledge because you think you know everything, okay? So when we hop on over into the Pisces energy, I do want you to be mindful that people will be projecting, and you will find that some people are mirroring energy, all right? You want to be able to rise above it in the Piscean energy because of that. Don't take it personal, right? People are going to be dealing with some regrets, right? You, on the other hand, I would say not to focus on the regret, but to focus on the lesson of things that has been transpiring thus far. Self-care is going to be needed in the Pisces energy, and especially you want to nurture any ideas or any positive seeds that you've planted, maybe even setting boundaries. You may want to go ahead and reestablish these things in that Pisces energy, because it's really service versus suffering. You're either going to serve, aka doing things with a purpose and having a meaning behind what you're doing, operating from more of an awakened state of mind where you understand that you can be an energetic sponge in Pisces energy. This is why it's going to be easy for people to mirror back, or it's going to be easy for people to project, right? Because this energy is very, very intuitive energy in Pisces. So self-care is going to be the option, and understanding that everybody has their own karmic walk, okay, to play out. So self-care, self-love, nurturing the things that you need nurtured in this next 2.5 days as the moon is in Pisces. And I'm not saying don't worry about other people, but you will begin to know those around you who project their stuff, who mirror their stuff, and who don't take accountability for the things that they've done or the things that they've said. You will know, okay? And with those people, what I'm saying to you is rise above it. Right? Know that people are projecting and they're mirroring energy, okay? Now, once we get on over into Aries energy from the 1st of June until the 3rd of June, right? You do want to be mindful as we're hopping over into Aries energy, not to be petty, right? Because this energy is really going to be unfolding throughout the week. The week is starting off with you being asked not to think you know everything, and to keep an open mind and pay attention to your intuition. There's going to be a lot of communication going on. People are going to be in their heads because this is the energy that is in the collective. It's a thinking energy, right? It's an energy where people are sharing things. It's a social energy. But the flip side to that is Gemini's energy can tend to play one side against the next, okay? So be mindful of that, because when we get to the end of the week, after you have transitioned from that Aquarius energy in the moon to the Pisces energy in the moon, when you get to the Aries energy in the moon, the wisdom for you within the next 2 days from the 1st of June until the 3rd of June with Aries energies, don't be petty, right? Don't be petty, because everything that's unfolding throughout the week may want you to be a little bit petty and argumentative and very forceful and aggressive by the time that you get to the end of the week and over the weekend. So you do need to be mindful of that. I want to say ground yourself, tap into your guides, be open for healing, be open also for the things that are unfolding, maybe to show you the aspect of your life and dark side. Like, do that inner work, that inner child work, tap into that inner child within you. Pay attention to deception from other people that you picked up throughout the week also, right? Because you may be tempted, like I said, once you get over to that Aries energy, to be very petty. Now, I want to say, even for my Capricorns particularly, so we have Capricorns particularly, Libras particularly, in the air energy, Capricorns from earth, Libra from air, and then Aries from fire, and then I want to say Scorpio from water energy, right? Be mindful not to be petty as we get to the end of the week, okay? And especially for Scorpions, I feel like you can be slow petty, because your pettiness can happen and transit over a period of time, okay? Because what might be unfolding in the nature of a Scorpio is, this is not new shit, is what I'm hearing, okay? Now, with that being said, as you are closing up this transit from these 3 elements, okay, do a lot of introspection. You do want to do a lot of introspection, or what you may find, because people have been trying to mirror you with the moon being in Pisces from May 30th until June 1st. You may find that people were definitely looking at your social media, definitely spying to see what was going on and trying to bring you back. Well, you said this, but I saw on social media that, you know, or you might be spying on someone because they told you this, but it was really that because they posted something on their page. Okay. So overall, just be mindful to do your own self-introspection, right? Pay attention to the memories that are popping up as we're wrapping this week up, and knowing what's your memories or what your gut and intuition is asking you to release, to purge, or to surrender to. Okay. Be mindful that ego is going to be very prominent as we are moving throughout the week, okay? So ego is going to be very prominent. Vanity and pride is going to be very prominent as we are transiting throughout this week. So you do want to be mindful of that. You can grow and overcome anything, but you do need to pay attention to your own inner feelings, because your feelings are indicators, okay? Your feelings are indicators to get you to understand where you are and what direction you may need to change, what direction you may need to embrace, what direction you may need to let go, okay, or dissolve. So be mindful of that, all right? Now, mental and emotional wholeness, as well as mental and emotional independent thinking and feeling, is what we are operating in right now, because that's being taken away from a lot of people. A lot of people don't independently think and feel for themselves. The world is going through mass psychosis right now, and it is important for you to own not just your thoughts, but also your emotions, all right? Because they're navigation tools. Now, with that being said, let's recap, all right? Sun in Gemini, so you want to be mindful that this is all about communication and learning, and part of communication is listening, so be mindful of that. Gemini's energy can also tend to play both sides against one of the next, and because we're going through the week, that may be full with pride and paying attention to what needs to be released, what you need to surrender, what you need to purge. Be mindful as we're starting the week within the Aquarian energy that you need to don't think you know everything. Be open to learn. Be open to communicate what you don't know, what you need to learn. And pay attention to your intuition as the moon is transiting through Aquarius from the 27th until early morning on the 30th, May 30th, right? May 30th, when we hop on over into Pisces, you want to rise above it. You want to know that people have and will be mirroring this week. So you want to rise above it and don't take things personally. You want to pay attention to whatever I want to say regrets that pop up for you, not for other people. Pay attention to what may be going on within you that you may be repressing. Pay attention to the purpose of why you're doing things. You want to practice self-love, self-care, and you want to pay attention to the seeds that you're planting, whether they're positive or negative seeds, okay, emotionally or even mentally. Rise above it and know that people are mirroring energy. And when we hop on over to Aries, from the 1st of June up until the 3rd of June, you need to be mindful that you should try not to be petty, okay? Trust your intuition and work on that healing of the inner child, because there is going to be some deceptive nature as you're unfolding the week, whether it's people telling you everything is fine when it's not, right? You may be tempted to hand people their shit and call them out in their shit this weekend, but you might find that there's a lot of ego attached to this, right? When pulling the receipts, okay? There's a lot of vanity and a lot of pride being attached to things as people are, quote unquote, communicating this week, all right? Now, so you don't know everything. You want to be able to trust your intuition. Pay attention to your intuition. You want to rise above it because people are mirroring and projecting, and you want to not allow yourself to be petty in this energy. All right, so I'm going to see you guys next week in the next archetype in astrology. I hope this was helpful. You guys have a wonderful week, and you want to do something kind for yourself because you should, right? And also do something kind for someone else, not because you can not or can't, but because you can, right? Even if they don't necessarily deserve it, you will be able to see a lot of self-growth if you are allowing people to be who they are without taking anything that they do personally. It's all a growth and experience for everyone on this plane, okay? With that being said, I will see you guys next week. Bye, my love.